This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Tonight, New York City look to make it 3 wins in a row against the Colorado Rapids. And now, here are your hosts, Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
And there we are in the Bronx, Yankee Stadium, the Big Ball Orchard in the South Bronx for New York City FC football/soccer on a wonderful evening, a little chilly in the Bronx, but as you can see, the field in immaculate condition as the New York Yankees have failed to make their trip north yet to play baseball. So it's all soccer here in the Bronx. Just 2 teams in the Eastern Conference are unbeaten through 3 matches, Nashville and the New York City Football Club, and the Pigeons are top of the table on goal difference through 3 matches. But with a result today, they're also tied with the New York Red Bulls, who drew 1-1 with Toronto FC. But New York City remains in that top spot. Well, here we are. I'm Glenn Crooks. There's Matty Lawrence. And we are here happy to bring you our live commentary coming up in a little bit on the New York City FC radio network. That begins at 7:15 with a pregame show and the exclusive one-on-one with head coach Pascal Janssen. And then kickoff here at Yankee Stadium is set for 7:40 p.m. And if you happen to be watching the game on Apple Television, there is the option of a drop-down app so you can listen to your favorite English radio hometown commentators. And as Matty Lawrence has often been quoted as saying, the only Matty, welcome. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well, actually. Good. But you're right about the one thing, this being the only option, and another thing as well, Glenn.
Yeah, but the field, look at the field.
Exactly.
Wow.
This is the best the field has looked, I think, for forever. I think you said the same thing. It looks absolutely fantastic. It really does. Hopefully it plays that well as well. But it's a phenomenal surrounding, and the weather's perfect. Certainly the weather's perfect to be playing in. It might not be perfect to watch in sort of a couple of hours' time or just over an hour's time, because it will get much colder. But look, NYCFC, it's hot on the field, though, isn't it? Let's be honest, it's hot on the field.
Look at the standings. Now, this is before the beginning of the day, so it's adjusted a little bit. But New York City and Nashville 1-2. Right now, it's the New York Red Bulls in 3rd, but there are games still to be played in MLS today. And Chris Sakonis is also standing by with us, as he is for every game, and you can see him in the background there. Just wave, Chris, if you hear us. Anyway, he will be doing the halftime report and the postgame report presented by Etihad on our live commentary. All right, so Matty, it's the first time New York City's been in the top spot since match day 18 of 2022. So they're not accustomed to being at the top of the table, even though we're only 3 weeks in. I tried to get Pascal Janssen to bite at least a little bit on it.
I heard that.
Not a shred. Not a shred. And this is the second of 3 straight at home before the international break. It was Orlando, great result, 5-0. Colorado tonight. And then 1 week from tomorrow to go into the break is Inter Miami. So we hope Messi is healthy. I'm sure we'll have a packed Yankee Stadium, over 20,000 expected for tonight's game. And the other side of this, Matty, 6 different players have scored the 8 goals this season for New York City. And those 8 goals are in the co-lead with San Diego and Vancouver for most goals scored by a team here through 3 matches.
Yeah, I've got that written down in my notes. Right. I think that's a great stat to have. When you have no true centre forwards, you need to spread the goals around. To have 6 different players scoring the 8 goals is fantastic. But equally, Colorado Rapids, they've got 5 goal scorers in the 6 goals that they've scored. I think that's another pertinent point. The other one is that Colorado Rapids have scored 3 of their 6 goals against 10 men.
And how many for New York City?
The other thing is NYCFC have scored 7 of their 8 goals this season against 10 men. So let's not get overawed. And obviously, Pascal Janssen wouldn't anyway. He doesn't care that they're top of the table right now. But as he did say, it's much better than being at the bottom. You don't want to always rather you see yourself at the top.
That's right.
But you don't take any notice until 10, 12 games into the season. And then I think if you're a head coach, You don't overly take any notice either if you're sat there top, because you just care about the next game. You want to win the next one. I think you could ask him that question about being top at any time, and he would say it doesn't matter until you're MLS Cup champions, because being top of the conference doesn't actually mean anything unless you win MLS Cup.
Well, I think what he did say off mic was maybe in October we could talk about it. So that's not even MLS Cup, but it is October. It's a little later on. And just to be specific, and this came from the outfield, 41.8% of the minutes in 2026 have been played with a man advantage for New York City. Over 140 minutes in all, if you include stoppage time. And Matty, I think we can make the case at least through 3 matches, and especially after this last one. And again, it's a small sample size, perhaps, but the question would be, or the statement would be, or what we might wonder is, does New York City, do they need a 9? And I want to see, the Fernandez-Marcao goal, Matty and I talked about this, and this is on our new program, A Coffee Break, which you can hear and watch every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. So this past Monday, we played this one for you. How about, and we called it a striker's finish, his head ball goal. I mean, that's what a number 9 does, right? That was Giroud in there, man.
That was Giroud. That was arriving late. It's, Frank Lampard, Tim Cahill, those types of players arriving late into the box. You're really hard to pick up when you run late into the box. The ball in from Maxi Moraes is absolutely exquisite. And Fernandez's run is perfect. Fernandez-Marcao meets the ball at its highest point on around the penalty spot, and he doesn't have to head the ball, Glenn. He just has to redirect the ball because the pace on the delivery. And it looks as though he's been doing that all his life. I haven't got the stats in front of me that tell me how many headed goals he's got, but I bet there's not that many of them, but he made that look very, very easy.
All right, so for the record, Fernandez-Marcao has at least one other headed goal that we could dig up. May the 3rd, 2025, at Burgos in La Liga 2. I don't know if that's the way it's pronounced. Burgos. Yeah. And that's when he was with Elche before his arrival at New York City last summer. And it was the game-winning goal in the 87th minute. And you could contend, that was near the end of the season, that without that goal, Elche might not have been promoted. And then what I would say to you next, Matty, is that we've talked about Fernandez-Marcao coming to New York City when he could have had the opportunity to stay in La Liga with Elche, helping them to promotion to play teams like Barcelona and Real Madrid. Elche played Madrid today. They lost 4-1. And Valverde scored another goal, by the way.
Yeah, let's not ask him where he'd rather be. Let's not ask him after the game whether he'd rather have been at the Bernabeu or here at Yankee Stadium. But he did make a decision. He got very well paid to make the decision to come here. But I do genuinely like everything I've seen about him. It hasn't had anything to do with his bank balance, that's for certain. He gives his all in every game. And I think Pascal Janssen said it on more than one occasion, that the DP is kind of that pinnacle, that kind of figurehead. It's all well and good being the DP, but you have to earn respect still. You have to come in and work as hard as everybody else and then some. So not only do you have to work a little bit harder than everybody else on both sides of the ball, you then have to provide goals and assists as well. And so far, Fernandez-Marcao has done that. I think he's fitted in really seamlessly to this football side, Glenn. I really do. It's been great to see his transition from the second division in Spain here to the top flight, obviously in MLS, and he's done it well. And I think certainly the players he's had around him, the Spanish speakers around him, have certainly helped him as well. It's been a nice transition for him, but ultimately it's down to him. Then ultimately for me, it's down to his hard work. That's it, full stop. It's his hard work and effort.
And you heard it on the pregame show with Pascal. I actually asked Pascal if he would compare him to Valverde, who for Real Madrid midweek in Champions League had a hat trick in the first half. But what I said to Pascal, which kind of reminded me of Fernandez-Marcao, first of all, Madrid played without a striker. New York City, in essence, is playing with a false 9, Fernandez-Marcao. And Valverde, he also had the most tackles and duels won on his team. And that kind of, and I watched a good portion of that game, and it kind of reminds me of the Fernandez-Marcao work ethic as well.
and it's that, isn't it? It's the work ethic.
Yeah.
I love that, and there's no ego there. He's not a player who's coming in and saying, I'm the DP, so give me the ball and then I'll start running, as some DPs do. He's come there and he's working so hard on both sides of the ball. And I think he's really initiating the tempo in a lot of games. It's coming from him, Glenn. He is the one who's the trigger to press high, or the one to push up, one to press. I like everything I've seen from him, but it's just still a very small sample size. We'll make real judgment, let's be honest, at the end of this season. But right here, right now, he's very impressive as an individual.
Yeah. This is NYCFC Pregame Live. We're on an hour before kickoff, prior to every match, home or away, at the site of the stadium. And today's venue is Yankee Stadium. And Keaton Parks is the next order of conversation. Although we should say that Fernandez-Mercado goal was the second after a red card to Maxime Crépeau, which was preceded by, after Crépeau was sent off and New York City was playing 11 versus 10, Agustin Ojeda got his first goal since June of 2024. He went without a goal last year, even though he played in every match. And now, like Maxi Morales, has played in 42 consecutive matches for New York City FC. For Maxi, it's every one of them has been a start. And for Ojeda, it's been a bit of a mix and match.
Yeah, it has. And look, Ojeda is starting to produce what we know he can. And I'm not talking about goals and assists here. I'm just talking purely about performances and having a little bit of self-belief, pushing and running at fullbacks, getting them one-on-one. And we know he's quicker than 99% of fullbacks. So it's good to see that he's got that going for him right now, the confidence, because that's all it took. And just learning that he's good enough to be playing at this level. He can provide goals and assists. He's still not good in front of goal. And I mean, he's not good in front of goal. He may have scored the odd goal, but he's not great in front of goal. Yep. And that has to improve if you're playing in a front four in a very good team, which you are at NYCFC, especially with no centre forward. We said it, the goals have got to be spread around. Yes, he's got his one, but it's then got to be 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 as well, Glenn, this season.
So it was Ojeda, then Nico Fernandez-Mercado, and then Maxi Morales before the end of the half. It was Fernandez-Mercado who drew the penalty, and in my rule book, he should get an assist after Maxi Morales then converts the penalty, and it's 3-0 at the half. Goal number 4 we're going to show you right here from our call on the New York City FC network. It's Keaton Parks back on the score.
Here's an interception, Tavon Gray. Gray on the front post finds Parks. It's 4-0. Tavon Gray intercepts, carries in on the right, delivers a perfect ball to Parks, who flashes to the near post, and first time's at home.
This is a terrific goal. It's really well crafted, created by Tavon Gray. But credit Keaton Parks, the run into the penalty area, actually inside the 6. Otero really doesn't want to come for it, the keeper. The keeper's had a terrible time. He half goes for it, half walks away from it. And all Keaton Parks has to do is just stab it past him. It's 4-0. It probably should be 6 or 7, and it may be 6 or 7 by the end of this game.
Well, only got to 5 as Parks got a brace, which is his first brace since the U.S. Open Cup in 2019, his first year with New York City under Dome Torrent. And Parks got the brace, and I don't think was ever out of the lineup after that, with the exception of his unfortunate injuries, 3 separate surgeries. And he's returning from the third one, and he is certainly an important figure in the midfield for New York City right now.
Yeah, he is. And I was reading interviews with himself and with Aidan O'Neill, and I think they've got a very good maybe very good pushing it. They've got a good understanding right now, which will only blossom as we go on later into the season. But it's Aidan O'Neill's natural position just to hold as a 6. He's more the James Sands, and he's saying he really appreciates the runs of Keaton Parks, and Keaton Parks knows when to break into the penalty area, and he's very hard to pick up from those late runs. And I think it's only to be expected that he's getting goals, but he needs to get more of them as well, as we say, spreading those goals around. But I think it really helps him knowing that he's got Aidan O'Neill behind him. He can go. He can be unafraid when he breaks forward. because he knows that Aidan O'Neill is going to hold his position at the 6. They're not both going to go together.
And we're going to get to the Aussies in just a moment. And we're going to go back to coffee break. That's right. Because with the effectiveness of Parks in there, along with O'Neill, Kai Truin, the newcomer, who can play in the midfield, can play at the back, but is his best position at the back right now for the New York City Football Club. So Matty and I discussed this on NYCFC Coffee Break.
We've said it before, so it's becoming the broken record, the like-for-like replacement for Justin Hack. But the more we see him, the more we're impressed. And Raul Gustavo at the back versus Kai Truin. And then you look in the midfield, you've got Keaton Parks and Aidan O'Neill now. When Andres Pereira comes back, how does Johnny Shore get used? I think the Gustavo thing will start to become not difficult to manage because he has a relationship with that player. But in my mind, Truin is your top left central defender. And don't you want to be solid at the back first before you move yourself ahead in terms of how you think about things?
Yeah, and I talked about it at the weekend during our commentary as well, Glenn. It's so important as an ex-centre half. It's so important to develop a relationship with the person beside you. And that can take, and I mean this, it can take 30, 40 games to truly develop a good relationship with the centre-half partner next to you. It doesn't mean you can't do a good job straight away, as he did, but to truly get an understanding of how that man next to you plays, it takes multiple games. So to your point, Glenn, yes, if it's me, I'm starting Kai Truin as left-sided centre-half because I've got enough, if I'm the head coach, if I'm head coach for a second, I've got enough in the middle of midfield that I don't need to use Truin in there just yet. And I want him to cement and forge a partnership with Thiago Martins. At times, I don't like the unbalance of not having a truly left-footed centre-half playing as the left-sided centre-back. But I think Truin is so two-footed, or two-footed enough, I should probably say, that he can do it. Two-footed enough. Yeah. Two-footed enough that he can do it. You always learn things in games of football, whatever happens in the game. But I will say that I learned next to nothing about Kai Truin defensively against Orlando because of how on top of the game NYCFC were. But as a footballer and the way he held himself, he looks magnificent. He fits in seamlessly. He's got his mate Ado playing just in front of him. And that's given him a little bit of reassurance. And he's got Thiago Martins, one of the best centre-halves in the league, next to him, and the skipper, and a good voice. And I think Truin appears to be a voice and a leader himself. It's just naturally, it's intrinsic within him.
So that's Matty's analysis of Kai Truin up to this point. Small sample size, and it will be interesting. We see that no changes in the 11 for the New York City Football Club. So as we sort of expected and almost desired, Kai Truin again at the left central defense. And you have a friend saying hi from Oneonta.
Hello.
Hey, Brett Moore, what's happening, man?
From my past.
And then we talked about Melinda can't wait for. She's going to be at the Messi game on Sunday. I guess she'll just be watching. And I hope if you're watching on Apple, Melinda, you're using that drop-down app so you can hear Matty and me here on the pregame show. Let's stick with the Aussies, shall we? And I was very interested in your commentary regarding Truin and O'Neill and Australians in particular, because you played with a few in your career, Matty, and here's that portion.
Look, I played with 3 very good Australians in my career. They all played for the Australian national team. Kevin Muscat, Lucas Neal and Tim Cahill. And they were all smart. I'm not saying book smart. I'm saying they were all very smart human beings. They knew exactly what was going on around the dressing room. They were very personable. The Aussie way for me, and I'm just generalizing about those 3 guys I worked for a very long time with, just got a real arrogance and confidence around them in a good sense, in a good way, just incredibly comfortable in their own skin and comfortable in their own beliefs of how good they were. And I think Truin looks similar to that, and Aidan O'Neill looks similar to that. They've both fitted in very quickly into the team, haven't they?
Yeah, I think we're quite comfortable with who we are as people. I think that can be a sense of assurance in ourselves, and quite humble. I think we're quite humble people, but sure of ourselves and our abilities as well.
I guess it is an Aussie way. You just sort of head down, working hard. No matter what happens, it's always going to be you're giving your best every game, every training session. That's like something I can guarantee I will always be able to give. I don't know if that's an Australian thing or if that's just when we grow up and how we're taught to play. But yeah, I think as a lot of Australian players have that sort of, I guess, mongrel or something about them where they'll never give in, and yeah, I guess that's probably more of an Australian way, that you'll never give in no matter what you come up against or who you're playing against.
Yeah.
There they are. So that's Matty, and then Aiden O'Neill was next, and then that was Kai Truin. So I brought it up to each of them, what you had said.
Look, it's the self-belief. I think people take arrogance the wrong way, and arrogance can be a criticism, but absolutely the way I use it is not. You have to have a modicum of arrogance to become a professional athlete of any kind, male or female, in whatever sport it is. You've got to have belief, personal belief, and a little bit of personal arrogance that you belong there and that you can succeed. So the three Aussies I played with had it in waves as well. They're massive self-belief. Also, like what Kai Truin was saying there, they were all humble, which is almost the opposite of arrogance. But they were humble off the field, but on it they were incredibly arrogant in the belief of themselves. But yeah, the will to win is second to none almost for the Australians, and also the climate allows them to be outside all the time. And most of the Australian guys I played with, they played numerous sports as well. So it wasn't just soccer that they were playing all the time. They were playing cricket, they were playing Australian rules football, they were playing rugby union or rugby league as well, or they were out swimming or surfing. Those guys are very, very well.
Well, one thing we learned is that Kai Truin and Aiden O'Neill, while they were in Los Angeles, went down to Manhattan Beach and got some surfing in. And they didn't bump into Justin Hack, but Kai Truin also said he met him after the LA Galaxy game, which was the opener. As we've often stated, Truin is essentially the replacement for Justin Hack, who left to LA on a free agency. Just a couple of things about Colorado, and then I want to talk about Etihad Park before we close. Colorado haven't won a playoff game since 2016. They had Chris Armas, got into the playoffs his first year, not so good a year ago. Now they've got a 37-year-old head coach, and he is Matt Wells.
Matt Wells, yeah.
And he's certainly been with some big programs as an assistant manager or as an assistant, most recently with Spurs, where he worked under Pochettino, Postecoglou, and Thomas Franks during that time. So he's most noted right now for his post-game speeches after Colorado has won 2 in a row. So they are 2-1 coming in. Both of those were at home. So they're in a good way right now, and we'll see how it goes. They've got just 2 changes in their lineup. No changes for New York City, but Wayne Frederick and Alexis Manyoma will come into the game for Colorado in favor of Dante Sealy. And I forget who the other player is that is out. That in my predicted lineup there were 2 replacements, and those were the 2 there. So Colorado and New York City, they've only met 7 times previously. New York City with 3 wins and just 1 loss, and there have been 3 draws in this series. All right, here's the Etihad Park. Here's the Etihad Park thing that I wanted to share with you, Matty. Let me get to the right page. So something interesting I think is happening, and just really learned this yesterday when someone sent this our way, and that is, well, let's look at the video here. And so this is, I thought it was a drone at first. So this showed up on social media. The account is C Money. So C Money's been in touch. This is actually, there you see Etihad Park. It's pretty cool. But this is actually leaving LaGuardia. This is a flight that has taken off from LaGuardia. And now the same C Money, when he flew back into town yesterday, put up another one. So I think what might happen here, Matty, is that depending on the flight pattern, but maybe we'll see video updates of Etihad Park from above, if people will take videos and put them up on social media or send them directly to me, and then I'll share them on our various podcasts here. But it looks pretty cool, and there's more than a frame now. You can really see a stadium.
I was just about to say, it looks like a football stadium.
Yeah.
We had the footprint before, but now we really get an opportunity to see what it looks like as well. And it's great, and it's amazing. I know we knew, but how close it is to the Mets Stadium as well. It really is.
Here, let me just put it up here again while you're talking. But yeah, that's one of my favorite parts about it. It's Tom Seaver Way.
Yes.
In between Etihad Park and Citi Field, and just really, really wonderful setting. You like the roof. There's more of that to come. And one of the things that I remember so vividly at the groundbreaking of this is December the 4th, 2024. And talking to Brad Sims about this, he was thrilled with the possibilities of the atmosphere, and he describes it right here. So I want to go back to that day when we talked to Brad Sims, the CEO and president of the club, about what we might expect from Etihad Park.
25,000 people plus standing room, and we're going to have the tightest confines and the loudest stadium, and it's going to be an amazing experience. Like when we were in Cincinnati for the for the playoffs for round one, they have a 25,000 capacity stadium. We have a 25,000 capacity stadium. Their 25,000 seat stadium is on 23 acres. Ours is on 12. So essentially, and then we have height restrictions because of the LaGuardia flight path. We've raised up this land already at 6 to 12 feet because of the floodplain. So we're up off the ground, we're down, we're condensed, and we're going to have the same kind of capacity they're going to have. It's going to be insane. People aren't even going to believe it until they're inside it, and they're going to be like, this is crazy. It's going to be amazing.
So I think that first day we walk in there, Matty, for a game, we settle into our booth. We get there very early. We will see our sight lines, and that will be a thrill. But then as the supporters enter the park, and then the opening whistle, and I can just imagine the thunderous ovation there'll be. And, for those who have been with the club from the start, and in particular, those who have suffered through the machinations of getting this stadium in place, one of them is Brad Sims. It's going to be a wonderful day. When do we anticipate whether it'll be in July or August of 2027?
Yeah, it's just going to be monumental, isn't it? As much as it is it's nice to play here at Yankee Stadium. You've had your fill of it after a season or two, and if you're a player, you've probably had your fill of it after a game or two, because the dimensions are just not up to speed. The fact that the stadiums or the stands aren't running alongside the touchlines, we know all about that. We're very aware of it. But to truly move into a new soccer-specific stadium, and not just a soccer-specific stadium, one that's going to be compact like that as well. Talked about the size or the lack of the amount of area that it covers, and there's nothing wrong with that.
It's half the acreage of TQL.
I'd love to know what the whole acreage was being taken into account there, which bits of the concourse and the outsides were, but whichever way, it's going to be
what
compact.
We've heard is the pitch of the stands is what's really Todd Donovan, the new sporting director, referred to that in a recent interview as well. And we know the people who have, been following the team for years. Kevin Rogers, yes, the little corner of Queens. It's going to be, but we also have this, going to miss the Bronx. So there is something about the Bronx. And then, of course, can't wait for a game at Etihad Park. It will be wonderful. And we're so happy that, for all those involved, that they have that chance. For now, it's 2026. We're playing at Yankee Stadium and Citi Field, with the exception of maybe near the end of the season when sometimes games are pushed over across the river into Sports Illustrated Stadium. And the opponent tonight, the Colorado Rapids, New York City. They have been unbeaten through 3 games, 2 wins and a draw. They had only one other start in the history of the club that was better than that, and that was 2018 under Patrick Vieira, when New York City won their first 3 games of the season. New York City begins the day in first place in the Eastern Conference. Obviously, a victory today against the Colorado Rapids will keep them locked in to that top spot in the East. Both teams out on the field for warm-ups. We are warming up for our broadcast because that's coming up beginning at 7:15 with a pregame show presented by Ford and featuring Pascal Janssen, the New York City FC head coach. I understand recently at a supporters event, he got quite an ovation when he was introduced.
I bet he did.
Everybody loves a winner.
Yeah.
If it were 0-3, you wonder if the ovation would have been. But that's the life of a manager. He texted Oscar Pereira the day before we met for our pregame briefing. Pascal said he had texted Oscar Pereira, just offering, his kind of condolences about the sack, but also wishing him well in his next steps. And Pascal got sacked at Alkmaar. He understands the profession and knows, these are the things that ultimately happen.
99% of football managers, football coaches get sacked. They? That's a fact. However well you do, at some point things are going to go badly and you're going to get sacked. So you either, take a little break away from it, you learn to play the picker, you do whatever you will, or you just knuckle straight back down again. There's nothing wrong with getting sacked. I think it makes you, I'm sure it makes people a better person, head coaches better people.
You hope you learn. You always want to learn from it, right? Well, if there's a reason. And sometimes you get sacked for unreasonable reasons,
of course.
So.
But I like the measure of the man, because there's no way that Pascal Janssen knows Oscar Pereira that well. Why Oscar Pereira got sacked, and he texted him and said, keep your head up. I'm sure I'm paraphrasing, but that's what Pascal Janssen's all about as well. He's a good human being as well as a good coach.
All right, well, New York City will go with the same 11 that defeated Orlando City 5-0. Why not? And I suppose the biggest question is, and I don't know if we want to even factor in a guess as to when Colorado will receive a red card today and make it 4 straight games that New York City has played 11v10. Ironically, Colorado, their last 2 games, both victories at home, they played with a man advantage. As Matty has stated and gave us the info at the top of this, 3 of the 6 Colorado goals with a man advantage, 7 of the 8 for New York City FC with the man advantage. So, there is an advantage to being up a goal.
8 of the last 8 goals scored by these 2 teams have come against 10 men.
I like
the last 3 Colorado goals and the last 5 NYCFC goals have come against 10 men.
What will happen today? 1-1, the Red Bulls in Toronto at BMO today. Atlanta topped Philadelphia 3-1. Philadelphia has 2 goals in 4 matches, and they do not have a win or a draw. They are 0-4, the Supporter Shield winners a year ago to start the season, having a sort of LA Galaxy moment, but on the other side of the lane in the Eastern Conference. And Columbus and Nashville, they're underway. They're close to 40 minutes in at what is not lower.com field anymore, and I have forgotten what it is called. It's a new sponsor. Anyway, they're in Columbus, and there's no score in that one. All right, come back to us at 7:15 on the network, nycfc.com/radio, or on the NYCFC app, or on the TuneIn app. And then at 7:30, you can go on your Apple television and use the drop-down feature to listen to the English hometown commentary. So for Matty, I'm Glenn. Enjoy the game, everybody.